It hasn't been moving very much today. 31.1 north, 78.5 west. About due south of Wilmington here, about 230 miles or so. Winds still at 80 miles per hour and moving north-northwestward at that slow pace of 10 miles per hour. Expected to maintain that. And of course, right now we still expect the current strike projections right in the area of the South Carolina-North Carolina border by mid-afternoon. Early to mid-afternoon tomorrow is our best estimate. And then tomorrow evening late into tomorrow night, it comes right across eastern Carolina and brings a lot of rainfall to the eastern part of the state. Wind gusts expected, and these are in gusts, not sustained winds, 70 to 90 possible along the south coast as the storm moves in, 50 to 70 possible around the New Bern and Washington and Greenville area. These are gusts, not sustained winds by any means, and some of the squalls. And as much as 30 to 50 possible up north, but again, this could change a little bit. We'll just have to see. The storm has weakened a little bit during the day. As we put the satellite in motion here, lots of showers and squalls in here, but again, nothing really organized, and the way it's going right now, it doesn't look like
hurricane history. Mr. Barnes joins us by telephone live from his home in Pinole Shores tonight to give us some perspective and insight into Hurricane Bertha. First of all, good evening, Mr. Barnes. How are you tonight?
I'm great, Linda.
How's the weather outside your window there?
Actually, it's quite a nice evening. It's a light breeze and a light rain, but not too bad.
Well, you know, in the history that you've done for this book, North Carolina's Hurricane History, have you ever researched anything where we had a hurricane this early in the season in July?
Well, we have had a few, but they are uncommon. The season, of course, runs from the 1st of June to the end of November. Most of our hurricanes historically have been August and September storms, and Hazel in '54, of course, was an October hurricane. But there have really only been two that have had any impact on North Carolina in July in this century, one in 1908 and one in 1916. Neither of them were really very severe. So it's somewhat unusual for us to see one this early, but not altogether uncommon.
You know, you document a number of storms in your book, including Hurricane Hazel, which struck our coast back in 1954. Is that still the measuring stick to compare all other hurricanes that threaten us?
Well, certainly in terms of intensity, in the 20th century, Hazel stands as a benchmark. It was the only Category 4 hurricane to make landfall on our coast that we know of at this century, and now there were probably several back in the 1800s, but Hazel still stands as a benchmark, yes, and certainly Bertha doesn't draw a comparison at all with a powerful storm like Hazel.
And I'm certain that a lot of people out there, a lot of this generation included, that have not seen a major hurricane, and hopefully we won't see one for a long, long time to come.
Let's hope not, Linda.
Okay, well, Jay Barnes, thank you so much. Again, the author of North Carolina Hurricane History.
Bertha blows through North Carolina, taking a big chunk of it with her. Good evening, I'm Claudia Lane. Thank you for joining us on the News Leader. Tonight, 2 people in North Carolina are dead after Hurricane Bertha surges through the coast. Ruby Jackson of Elizabeth City was killed last night when her car slid into oncoming traffic near Kitty Hawk. And one man in Washington was killed by electrocution while working on his generator this afternoon. So far, the storm has claimed 9 people total on its way up the East Coast. Coming up, we have comprehensive coverage of the storm's wrath on eastern North Carolina. We begin with the hardest hit area, Atlantic Beach. Today, it's time to take a look at the destruction left behind by Hurricane Bertha. Damage was widespread across Atlantic Beach and Bogues Bank, and several homes were totaled by the storm. TV 12's Sherry Lewis and photographer Scott Foley have been on Atlantic Beach covering the story since Hurricane Bertha looked like it might hit our area. Tonight, they show you the damage as it happened, as well as what Bertha left behind.
More than 100-mile-an-hour winds howl as Bertha beats down on Atlantic Beach. Siding flies off homes like paper. Porch roofs rip off, littering neighbors' yards. Then day breaks, and the damage comes to light. There are homes without roofs, windows blown out, and cars sunk in water.
Was it as bad as you expected?
No, it was worse. It was worse because when we went to bed last night before last, it was supposed to be 80 miles an hour. When we woke up, it was 105.
Bertha shredded these Emerald Isle condominiums. Mary Lynn and Mason Cox saw it happen.
The amount of material that's in the air is overwhelming because you think they look small, but they're large objects flying, and you worry about those flying into windows and doors.
Mobile homes burst into bits and pieces. Then there are ones like this. The walls are gone, but the couch looks as if it hasn't moved.
A lot of people here on the beach have boardwalks like this.
Now most of them are crooked, or some of them have simply washed away. In fact, these steps you see right here used to belong over there. The storm surge also eroded much of the beach, creating 20-foot cliffs in the sand. Winds snapped trees and downed power lines. The cleanup has started, but the work won't be over for a while. As bad as things were on Atlantic Beach, I never imagined what I would find when I got off. This is my car. It's parked in what I thought was a safe spot at our offices. Now it's all too real to me that the effects of Hurricane Bertha are going to be felt by many people from Atlantic Beach and even further inland. I'm Sherry Lewis in Carteret County for TV 12, the news leader.
18 hours, actually. We had a reporter in Topsail Beach, 124 miles an hour. These are the highest wind gusts we saw yesterday. 115 in Frying Pan Shoals, 95 miles an hour in Southport, 79 in Havelock, 100 miles an hour estimated here in New Bern, also in Cove City, 121 miles an hour out at Marshallburg. And that was Tom Mincerelli out there. He also reported 7 inches of rain, 63 miles an hour up at Alligator Bridge, 76 miles an hour out at Cape Hatteras. Now you compare that today.
Live by phone right now is the author of the book, North Carolina Hurricane History. Jay Barnes is at Pine Knoll Shores, where he weathered the storm last night. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Barnes. Can you tell us what it is about Bertha that has made this an unusual hurricane?
Well, Claudia, probably the thing that's most unusual is that this is a July storm, and in North Carolina's history, we just have not had very many hurricanes to strike our coast in July. The hurricane season runs from June through the end of November, but we typically don't see the peak season storms arrive until late August and the month of September.
Well, the one thing I was going to ask, of course, this is early in the hurricane season, and what could this mean for us?
Well, you never can tell. Hurricanes are very unpredictable. You can't really predict if we're going to have another one this year or not. But it is interesting when you look back all through the years and over the last couple of centuries particularly, there have been many times when North Carolina has been struck by more than one hurricane in the same season. A good example was in 1955 when we had 3 hurricanes to strike our coast within 6 weeks.
That really is unbelievable. Thank you very much for joining us. And again, that was Jay Barnes, the author of North Carolina Hurricane History.